She thought their dog was being dangerous with the baby. She had it backwards. The sound she heard from the living room at 6:14 in the morning was wrong before she could explain why. A rhythmic, low sound, wet and deliberate. She was already at the doorway before she was fully awake. Kodiak was on the couch beside Oliver. He had his face pressed against the infant's face, against his cheek, against his closed mouth, and he was licking, not the affectionate grooming lick of a dog who loves a baby. This was forceful, repeated. He would pull back, look at the baby, press his face in again. Oliver, 4 months old, was not responding. Maya Anderson crossed the room in 4 steps. She grabbed Kodiak by his collar and pulled him off the couch. He turned and looked at her with both pale blue eyes and made a sound she had never heard from him. Not a bark, not a whine, a low, sustained sound in his chest that had weight behind it. He moved back toward the baby immediately. She picked Oliver up. He was warm. He was breathing. His eyes were closed. He was limp in the way sleeping infants are limp, that particular bonelessness of deep sleep that every parent learns to distinguish from the other kind. Except Oliver had been changed and fed at 4:45 a.m. And a 4-month-old does not sleep for 90 minutes on a couch without waking or fussing. Not this baby, not any morning that Maya could recall in 16 weeks. She looked at his color. She called 911 before she finished the thought. Kodiak had been in their home for 3 years. A rescue Siberian Husky with pale blue eyes and a gray and white coat and a personality that the rescue organization had described as high drive and vocal. He had been vocal around Oliver since the day they brought him home. Not aggressively. He would position near the baby, make sounds, track him through the house. Maya's husband, Eric, had described it as the dog being curious about the baby. Maya had been less comfortable with it. She had been researching Husky breeds and infant safety for weeks. She had 2 browser tabs open that Tuesday morning before the living room sound pulled her out of bed. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The paramedic team arrived in 9 minutes. The lead paramedic, a woman named Carla Vega, assessed Oliver in under 2 minutes and said 2 words to her partner that Maya heard, but did not understand in the moment. She understood them later. Oliver's oxygen saturation was 86%. He had been in a prolonged bradycardic episode, a slowing of the heart rate and a corresponding drop in oxygen saturation that in infants can occur silently, without external symptoms visible to a parent, as a result of an immature respiratory control mechanism. His body had not produced the startle or cry response that normally interrupts these events. He had not moved. He had not made a sound. His color had been within the range of normal for his complexion in the low morning light. In an adult, 86% oxygen saturation produces visible cyanosis, breathlessness, distress. In an infant at 4 months, with an immature autonomic nervous system, the body's compensatory mechanisms allow this level to sustain for longer before any visible symptom emerges. Oliver's heart monitor at the NICU showed that the bradycardic event had begun approximately 40 minutes before Maya reached the living room. Dr. Ingrid Sorensen, neonatologist, reviewed the timeline with Maya and Eric that morning and said the following. She said, "Your infant was in a prolonged oxygen saturation event for approximately 40 minutes. Untreated bradycardia of this duration and severity in a 4-month-old would progress to cardiac event. The intervention at the oxygen level we measured was appropriate. You came in at the right moment." Eric said, "What woke her up?" Dr. Sorensen looked at them. She said, "What did?" Maya told her about Kodiak. Dr. Sorensen was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "There is documented research going back 20 years on canine response to infant oxygen desaturation events. Dogs detect these events through breath chemistry changes, specifically the carbon dioxide and oxygen ratio shift in exhaled air, before any monitor threshold alarm triggers. This is not an accident. This is an olfactory system that is capable of detecting changes your technology cannot." She said, "He was licking your son's face to try to stimulate a breathing response. That is what dogs do. That is what he was doing for 40 minutes while you were in the other room. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard." Oliver spent 4 days in the NICU. He was placed on a home apnea monitor following discharge. He was evaluated by a pediatric cardiologist and a neurologist. his episodes resolved entirely by 6 months. He is now 2 years old, and his cardiac and neurological development is assessed as normal at every check. Kodiak was on the couch beside Oliver's bouncy seat the evening they brought him home from the hospital. He did not press his face to the baby. He lay beside him, eyes open, watching. The behavior of an animal who has found the thing he was looking for and is simply staying with it. The apnea monitor sits on the dresser in Oliver's room. It has alarmed twice in the month since discharge. Both times, Kodiak was already at the nursery door. Every guardian deserves to be seen, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Maya returned those 2 browser tabs about Husky breeds and infant safety. She did not close them in the way she had intended. She read them differently now. She read them the way you read something after you understand what it was actually telling you. What did your dog do that you still cannot explain? Tell us below. These stories change lives when they are shared.